besties! Welcome back to my channel. And for those who are new here, hi! My name is Candy from the Porkchop Bun, your best friend in Macau. And on my live streams, I talk about things that people would like to know more about Macau. And this also gives me a chance to show people how cool Macau really is. And for today's live stream, I want to go over vaccinations in Macau. So I personally took 2 vaccines already, and I just really want to go over the process of what it's like and what to expect. And I feel like it'll be really helpful for those who are thinking or planning to take their vaccinations. And by the way, a disclaimer here, I do want to mention that I am not a healthcare professional in any way, and a lot of information that I'm providing is from the government website. So before you go take your vaccination, I suggest to do some research. And I know that COVID has impacted us internationally, everywhere, whether that is like employment, businesses, travel, some industries, and I'm pretty happy to say like Macau is safe in general. Like I would say, like compared to a lot of countries, Macau is considered like safe, and most of the time the government does a really good job, and I don't really have to worry about if I'm going to get COVID. They contain it pretty well in general. However, did you know that only 54% of the entire population of Macau has been vaccinated? I mean, like, that's a surprising number, and that's really low compared to other places in China. Like, only 54%. Isn't that crazy? Insane, right? But at the same time, I do understand why. Because like in the beginning, like when the vaccinations are out, right? When people first took their vaccinations, it was scary. Because they're like the first people trying it out. And then you hear news how like one side of their body is like paralyzed or like sudden death. And that really scared a lot of people in Macau. Like, even my co-workers, they're like, oh, I don't want to take it yet. Like, I hear some news. Like, what if I don't wake up? Like, they're just really worried about that. So I do understand why there is a lower vaccination rate. But I'm pretty sure it's slowly on the rise because there are some new policy. For example, if you want to go back to China, you will need to be vaccinated, like at least 1 dose if you want to go back. So that's why I feel like there's a pressure for those people who have to go back to China to visit their family or whatever it is. Like there's this like pressure. So I'm pretty sure the vaccination rate will go up. So now we have to cover what types of vaccine can you get in Macau. So currently we do have 2 vaccines available. One is Sinopharm, and that is from Beijing, and the other one is BioNtech. BioNtech. So that, I don't know, I think that's how I say BioNtech. So what is Sinopharm? So Sinopharm is an inactivated vaccine, and the prevention rate is around like 80%, and it has lower side effects. So fever and allergic reactions are normal, and currently there are no major safety issues. So what are inactivated vaccines? It just means that in that vaccine it's composed of like dead or inactivated viruses or bacteria, so it's not alive but inactivated. And the second one is BioNtech, and this is the one that I took, by the way. Like, it is a mRNA vaccine that has like 90% of prevention rate, but there's gonna be more side effects, and allergic reactions are slightly higher. So what are mRNA mRNA vaccines. It is a new type of vaccine that teaches our cells how to make a protein that triggers our immune system to respond. So it doesn't carry the virus and it cannot change the virus in any way. And basically, yeah, I mean, that's pretty cool. Like, I didn't know that at all before I started researching for this live stream. So it's like, you know, after you get injected, they teach the protein to recreate like the virus, and then so our immune system will be like, whoa, what is that? And then they just like start attacking it. So afterwards, like, you know, the immune system has like a memory of this like COVID cell, right? And then so when you actually get the COVID-19, like the immune system will now know how to like tackle this virus. And from what I heard, like, Canada only accepts people who are vaccinated with BioNtech right now. So that's why I took BioNtech. Just from what I'm hearing, like, they don't really accept Sinopharm. So yeah, so a lot of my friends took like BioNtech. So the next question is, how do I register? You know, like, I want to take the vaccine, but I'm not too sure where to start. How do I register for this? So it's really easy. It's super simple. In Google, you just type in like Macao vaccinations, and the first link it pops up, you just click on it. And then like the registration is also in like English, Chinese, and Portuguese. And it's also like a super like simple process. Like, basically they'll ask you to input your name, your phone number, your birthday, and ID. And afterwards, they'll also ask you like about problems like chronic diseases. Do you have like heart attacks? Do you have asthma? Like, or high blood pressure? Like those kind of questions. And then lastly, you get to pick your vaccine and the location. So each vaccine, I think they have different locations. It depends on where. Like the one I went to, Macao Forum, they carry 2 of the vaccines. So it really depends, and they'll list it out for you. And then afterwards, on the last page, they'll give you a QR code and some details. Remember, please remember to take a photo or screenshot that QR code. That QR code is super important. They're not going to email it to you by any form, so you have to remember to take a photo or screenshot it, because you'll need it at the vaccination. And also, like, you can use that like QR code, like that number, to reschedule your appointment. Just remember your appointment number. I mean, that's really important. And I do want to make a comment on that. So I did reschedule my appointment before, and it was like a huge number. It was like V20, like a really long bum number, okay? And I feel like, you know, something that the government can do better is that, you know, you can just input your ID, or yeah, just input your ID and they'll just list it out that way. Because like those numbers are just way too long, okay? And it's gonna take me too much time to like input it, in my opinion. So I feel like this is something that the government can improve on. And yeah, so let's talk about the process. Like, what should you expect during the vaccination appointment? Like, what do you have to bring? Like, one of the things that I recommend to bring is you know, you have to remember to make an appointment, because that's first, and then your QR code and your ID number. So those are things that you have to bring. So that's why I'm stressing forward the QR code and your ID number. And basically, I remember going in, like, I went to the Macao Forum as a vaccination place, right? And then it was like a hamster maze, and it's like a lot of sections, and basically it's like a maze, and you have to like run over to this place and then later go over this place. And from what I remember, it was like 5 sections before you actually get your vaccination. I think 4 or 5 from what I remember. So on the first stage, like they'll register you first, like they'll be asking your name, what type of vaccination you're getting, and what dose you are on, and then they'll scan your appointment QR code. So this is why the appointment QR code is super, super important. And then afterwards, they'll like print you a sheet, and then you go to the next round, which is measuring your blood pressure, making sure that your blood pressure is normal, it's not too high, it's not too low, and then they'll write the blood pressure on the sheet for you. And then afterwards, you go and meet the doctors. Like the doctors will ask you like very basic questions. For example, if you have any health problems, like again, like heart attacks, like asthma, high blood pressure. So for these so these are actually doctors, like they literally sit there and like, ask you those kind of questions just to make sure you're okay, no hidden like problems or anything. And then you line up for your vaccination. So basically, like for Macao Forum, from what I remember, there's like 3 sections. So first one is Sinopharm, the second one's BioNtech, and the third one's like the other vaccine. I'm not too sure what the name is. So there's 3 vaccination with around 20 rooms for each, around there. And then the nurse will ask you a few questions again, like, oh yeah, like what's your name, your birthday, and then like what kind of vaccination you're taking, on what dose. And then I would say like the nurses, they do a pretty good job distracting you, okay? They'll just be like, oh, how's your day? Oh yeah, how have you weighed? And then kaboom, like it was like on your arm. And you're just like, what's going on? Like, you're just so shocked, right? Because, like, they just, like, talk to you. And you're just like, what? And they, like, kaboom, got it on your, like, arm already. So, yeah, the nurses are pretty, by the way. I do want to say that because I remember my nurse was like, wow, she is so pretty. And then after everything is over, you wait at like the waiting area for like 30 minutes just in case that, if you have any allergic reactions or like, something comes up within 30 minutes. And they do provide water and some snacks. And then they have like 3 big TVs that really looping on information about COVID. And like, for those TV, I wish they can play like TVB or something. Like, man, I was just so bored. Like I was just on my phone and I'm like, oh man, this is actually like really dry. Like I wish there's some TV. And like, for those that took the second dose, remember to get your vaccination card. Because that like it'll say that when did you take your vaccination, and like like you're vaccinated, like especially when you travel to another country in the future, or like in the near future kind of thing, they probably ask you for like a vaccination card. So it's just, I think they just says it says your name, your birthday, and also let me think, name, birthday, vaccination, what date that you took the vaccination, and so it's really simple. And they also recommend to not drink any alcohol and do any intense working out at this time. So they just don't recommend just like working out. I even asked them because I work out quite a lot, right? And they were just like, no, I think it's better to, take some time, take some breaths. And I'm like, okay, yeah, that's true. And I also want to mention that I was so unlucky for my second dose. Like, I was really, really unlucky. The reason I say that is because on my second dose, I think it was on the day that they announced, like the government announced that, oh, if you want to go back to China, you have to take a vaccine. Like, that was the day that, like, the Macau government announced that or something like that. And then, like, usually the wait time for the vaccine, I think the first dose, it took around 30 minutes. And then on the second dose, I waited 3 hours. Insane, right? 3 hours? Like, it doesn't matter if you come early or not. They basically check your vaccination time. Like, I came at 7:30. My appointment was at 8 o'clock. So yeah, and then they were just like, no, Like when it was like 8 o'clock, they were saying how like, oh, we're only doing, we just started doing 6 o'clock to 6:30, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I literally waited, like I went home at 11 basically. I know, and I do want to say like a big thank you to all those like the doctors and nurses and the volunteers on that day, because you know they've been just stepping it up. They made sure that everyone has their vaccination before they close. Like they literally went like overtime, so I really want to thank them for that. Like they are superstars, they're amazing. Yeah, but oh my gosh, it was so long. I'm sure it's better now, you know, with the border closing right now. But you know, man, that 3 hours was tough. I literally went home that day. Like I'm just really glad I went home, and I quickly got my battery charger and also my iPad out, and literally I just watched like a Korean variety show on there, and that was like 2 hours, and I was just happily sitting there, and then like on the side I could see like everyone's like staring on my iPad. They're like, oh, like I wish I bought like an iPad or something, like that kind of look to it. Like I didn't notice that. And yeah, like I'm really glad that I just went home, you know. Man, I should have bought a pillow or something too. Like my bum was hurting quite a lot from sitting so long. But yeah, back to the side effects of the vaccination. So what are some side effects that you should expect? Like according to the government website, like some common side effects are like pain in the muscle, like you're just really tired, some headaches, some muscle pain, chills, and fever. So apparently that's really, really normal. And like for my first dose, I definitely got like muscle pain for around 3 days, and it was hurting so much. Okay, like I couldn't even sleep, and I was just really, really tired. Literally, it was hurting so much that like I was just lying on my bed and I was like wide awake. Okay, like that was literally me. I'm like, oh man, like I couldn't even sleep at all, and like I also felt like I lost a sense of taste for the first 24 hours. So this one was actually scary for me because I was like, oh my gosh, like what am I going to do? Like I lost my sense of taste. Like is this gonna be forever? Because you know I'm a food reviewer, right? Like you know my content is based on food, and suddenly I don't have that like taste to it. I was really worried, guys. I was seriously worried. But okay, and also I want to mention, I'm not sure if it's because like it's a new restaurant. You know, maybe it's because maybe like the bowl of noodle soup is like they forgot to add salt or something. I'm not sure. Okay, guys, like we still haven't solved this mystery, but like you know, thank God my taste buds came back after like 24 hours. And also like a lot of people were telling me like before I took my second dose, a lot of people were telling me like, oh hey, like the second dose is like very strong, like you gotta be careful, you know, like they were just telling me that it's like super, super strong. And I was just like, oh, like you know, I was kind of worried because I had to reschedule some days because I had some meetings the next day, and I also had to go see a doctor, and I was like, okay, I don't think it's a good idea for me to do it on a Saturday, so that's why I changed it on a Sunday. Bad idea. Like this is such a bad idea. And yeah, for me, like I had no problems for the second dose at all. Like for the second dose I was literally fine. I think I only had like a little bit of aching, but I wasn't tired or anything. Like I was definitely okay. Like I was like, oh okay, you know, nothing really bad happened. Like I wasn't feeling sick. I was feeling fine. Like really, really fine for my second dose. Like it's not like a lot of people were like hyping it up for me. They're just like, oh my gosh, Kenny, you gotta be careful for your second dose. I was literally okay. Like your girl was good. And I also heard like my friends got a fever, and I didn't get a fever thankfully, but like I saw like, you know, my sister was just really tired and she was just not feeling too well for the second dose. And yeah, so that's what you should expect for your like second for first and second dose, you know, just to make sure that you're okay. Like drink more water, like really just like drink more and more water just to rehydrate yourself. And really, for the last one is like, who should not get the vaccine? Like, because I know there are some people that's not suitable for these kind of vaccinations. One is pregnant women, which makes sense because pregnant women, just in case, like, for the baby, it's not good for the baby or anything that happens. That's why, like, they should not get a vaccination. Another thing is like allergic reactions. So allergic reactions to vaccinations. So just in case, I think I do have a friend that's allergic to vaccinations, but I'm not sure how they got by to that. But basically, they did have allergic reaction, and like individuals who are suffering from like asthma attack, heart attack. So those are the ones that shouldn't be getting any like vaccinations at all, because you never know, like especially like with high blood pressure, with those all kind of things, right? So it's you want to make sure to keep yourself safe, and like like those people should not get it. And also individuals who have fever, like when you have fever, like oh my gosh, you're gonna scare the people, man. Like if you go there with a fever, can you imagine? Everyone's gonna be like, yo, like what's up? Like kind of like, okay, I think you should stay at home. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I mean, like that's really it from a vaccination experience. And now I can also go over like with the new COVID cases and how it's impacting Macau in general. So I think for the past week, I think there's at least like 5 new cases suddenly. Like it was like apparently it came from like people from China who's working in Macau in construction, and it also like spread it out to like just construction industry in general. And suddenly there was like 5 new cases, and also the previous case with like the security guards at the hotel, so they caught it too, right? So lately people are kind of worried, kind of scared to go out. I can see that even my workplace, there aren't a lot of people that's going out, that's really worried, which makes sense. And it's just like a lot of things are canceled, like the borders are closed. Yeah, so a lot of people, especially who are from China working in Macau, they're basically stuck in Macau. Like the company arranged something. Like I have a friend that like sleeps at the company's office. Yeah, I mean, like they're basically stuck there, and it's closed borders. And now they closed off movies, cinemas, cinema, spas, like hairs, like hairstylists, all these kind of things. So they're closed. Like anything that's like close to like people contact. So basically they closed off there. The government, just to make us safe. Like no gyms. I haven't gymmed for a while too, like for at least a week. And yeah, like we can see how it really impacted Macau in general, because it's such a huge difference. Like you can see the street is kind of empty. Like the street is just really empty, and you're just kind of like, nobody really wants to go out. People are scared. Like I'm kind of scared, to be honest with you too. Like even when I go out, like I like to try out new things, right? Like when I go to a restaurant or something, like I'm kind of scared to go out. Like I'm more wary. Yeah, so that's what's happening in Macau now. Like we are still in the state of immediate prevention as of right now, and I'm just like hoping that there are no new cases for the next few weeks. Like for the next week or so, I really pray that, like even like I was talking to a taxi driver a week ago, and then he was just telling me that I think that taxi driver has a little bit of depression. Like he was just saying that he was just sharing his experience, how like since there's no tourists coming to Macau, and it really impacted the taxi industry in general, and basically they have to wait really long hours at like casinos, like around 3 hours for like one customer, and it's really tough. Like I really feel bad for them. Like he was just saying like how like, oh, like his kids are still really small and his like wife isn't working, and yeah, like you just feel really bad. Like he was just saying like, oh, I'm like, he's like crying secretly so they don't know, and he's just eating like bread and like a orange and like a banana, and that's his whole shift. Like his shift is around 12 hours, right? And man, when you hear these kind of stories, you just feel really bad, and you just really want to help in a certain way. And yeah, I mean, like COVID really, really impacted us. Like I do know that a lot of people, it's tough. It's really tough, especially if you have kids, like really younger kids. You have like your partner isn't working, and then you have like your older, like you have your parents to take care of them, and they are kind of on the older side, right? It's really tough. Like seriously, I do feel for them. And then they also have like a house on mortgage. Like they have to pay like mortgages, right? Like yeah, I really do. I do feel for them. That's like, for the people, like, if there's any way that I can help, I do hope that I can help them in a certain way. It's tough, COVID did impact us, and we never saw it coming. We thought it was just something that's gonna finish within finish within like a year, but now we're approaching 2 years, guys. Like in December it's going to be 2 years. It's insane. Like I haven't been back to Vancouver for like, this is my second year. I haven't been back because of COVID. Like I was planning to go back last year because like one of my documents are like yeah, like one of my documents are just like expiring very soon, and I need to go back to renew. And yeah, like it's just insane. Like I haven't been able to go back, and I do miss Vancouver. I do miss my home a lot, but I do hope that COVID is ending soon. I'm just like, everyone just look on the brighter side and just know that everyone's doing their best, everyone's doing their part. Like thank you to like our Macau government for doing what they can at these kind of situations. Also thank you to all the people who are like doctors, nurses, healthcare professionals. Just really thank you guys for just doing what they're really good at. I think that's already like thumbs up from my end. And they don't, like, I hope they know that a lot of people are rooting for them, and hopefully that this COVID is over, that we are free to just travel, meet our family. Hopefully the economy will be okay. And yeah, I really, really believe that. And yeah, for those who are here right now, like thank you for joining me. Like I'm so happy that you're here with me today. And just let me know if you have any questions. Like shoot me a message on like if you have taken your vaccinations yet. Like anyone here that has taken their vaccinations, or like what kind of vaccination did you take? Just leave them in the comments below. Oof. And yeah, I mean, like, thank you. I just want to say like I just want to say that, like, thank you for watching. For everyone who's here today, like, I'm just so happy that you're here with me today. And I'll see you next time. And this is Candy from the Porkchop Bun, your best friend in Macau. And I'll see you next Monday at 9 p.m.